Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Our guest is going to be Paul Bodine, candidate for Nevada's Assembly District number 41. But before we get to Mr. Bodine, Jim?
One thing to say. So it's 2022, and the VA hospital opened in 2012. So it's been 10 years. A lot of people don't realize, though, prior to 2012, there wasn't one main VA hospital. And I just wanted to commend you. There's a lot of people that played a hand in it. But I remember when I first met you, that was your thing. And you just would not let up. You just relentlessly went to every single congressperson, state senator, federal, like you went all over the place and you rounded up a lot of, and really put that issue on the map. So I just wanted to recognize you for that, because there were a lot of other people that helped, but again, you just, your tireless efforts really helped a lot of veterans in creating that hospital.
Yeah, I know me and Shelley Berkeley went around a few times too about the hospital. Yeah. Remember? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And before the new hospital on Pecos in 215, it was, I believe it was on Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. And they closed it because of asbestos.
Right.
And for years, Southern Nevada didn't have a hospital. We had to go to California or whatever. The clinics wouldn't take care of California. We go. And I think San Diego was probably the closest one. I'm not positive. I think it was. But yeah, thank you for that, Jim. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely.
I mean, everybody thinks we're just bad guys. We don't do anything. But they don't even know half the stuff we do.
Honestly, Steve, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get involved with veterans in politics, because, and I'll make this real brief so we can get to our guests. But so for those viewers and listeners that don't understand, that both of my grandparents were Korean War vets. And my grandmother in 1985 had a massive stroke and was completely paralyzed on her right side. So my grandpa used to take care of her, and there was a VA hospital right down the road in Hot Springs. But then they closed it because of budget cuts. So then he had to do the same thing. He had to get my paralyzed grandmother up, get her dressed, and drive 80 miles to Fort Meade just for a regular follow-up. And so that's where I know it's rural, but that's where it kind of hit home. And then when you started bringing it up, I thought it was even a little more ridiculous, being that 80% of the state of Nevada's land is federally owned. So the amount of veterans and the amount of military operations and things that go on in this state, to not have a VA hospital in a major metropolitan area like Las Vegas was absolutely ridiculous. So again, thanks for just not giving up and keep spearheading that.
Thank you, Jim. Well, we have Paul Bodine, candidate for Nevada Assemblies District number 41. Mr. Bodine, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I from California.
Oh, another one.
And most of my life. Grew up in a working class family. Moved back and forth between L.A. area, Long Beach specifically, and
you know Snoop Dogg?
Northern California. I went to school probably around the same time that he did. I don't know him, but he went to Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, and I went to another school, Wilson, which is if you ever saw the movie. Freedom Riders, that's where they film Freedom Riders.
I might have, but not putting the name to it.
Anyway, so, grew up working class family, Catholic school education, half public school education. Grateful for that part of my background. Communion. Got slapped by the Archbishop. Got slapped by the Archbishop and all that.
You went to confession Sunday?
I didn't. I did not go to confession. It's been a while. Since I've been to confession. But I probably got quite a list to go over. And then basically worked in corporate sales most of my life until I couldn't take that anymore. And my wife was in business most of her life, and she finally convinced me to go in business with her. And so that's what we did.
What kind of business?
It's a referral agency. It's called LA Maids, and it's domestic help. So,
so you guys,
house cleaning.
okay.
Yeah, house cleaning with independent contractors, we don't have employees, we just have independent contractors. So we had that business in Los Angeles. When we came here in 2012, we started that business here in Las Vegas for a couple of years. And the labor market is not quite the same as it is in LA. We weren't able to kind of get a grip on the labor side of things, so we shut that operation down. We still have the LA operation, but the businesses are our businesses are all incorporated here in Nevada now.
Okay.
So that's.
So why are you running for Assembly District 41?
The short answer is because nobody else was, and I just couldn't see that. I couldn't see the district.
You got recruited?
I did not.
Okay.
No. But I've got a lot of help from a lot of good people who have been around Nevada politics.
You're a Republican?
I am. Yeah.
So did you have a primary or no?
I did. I had 3. There was 4. I talked one gentleman out.
You did?
The last day. No, I just say, he was already complaining. He said, boy, this is a lot of work. I don't know if I want to do this. I retired.
Who's this?
His name is Joel Shammy.
Okay.
And so he was in the race, and it was, I actually had invited all my Republican, I don't want to call them opponents, but.
I think I remember 41. We did the endorsement interview for 41. I
may have done, maybe Jim Slater.
Yeah.
I think Jim
How
Slater,
come you didn't show up?
There was a mix-up. I'm not sure what it was, but I think it was.
You knew about it.
I did, and it was somehow I didn't
forget about those guys.
On that, yeah.
Forget about it.
So so I had some competition. I'm not sure exactly what they did in the primary, but I pulled out a pretty substantial victory, 56% of the
56.
vote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's a huge showing.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, this is my first time doing it, so I'm learning all about what's normal and what's not, and what's good and what's not. But my Democratic incumbent opponent is really giving me a run for the money. And
who's that?
Her name, you would ask me. I believe it's pronounced Uragui, Sandra Uragui.
I think so.
That's close.
Familiar.
I'm probably 80% there with that pronunciation.
So there's no libertarian, independent American?
There is a libertarian, yes.
They're going to pull votes from you.
They
got rid of that person out of the race.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get a chance to do that, but yeah, they will. But I think we can overcome that. And I think there's a certain amount of libertarians that will take a look at the seriousness of the race, I think, and say, do I really want to die on the hill of libertarianism? And particularly if I can get to them and show them that I'm not your last guest. A lot of the stuff that he was talking about, I thought that sounds right.
That's why they're going to take votes from you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Unless they realize that I can give them my vote, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have somebody that's closer to what I believe.
So where's 41?
So South Point Hotel.
Ah, yes.
Okay, just east.
Yeah, we had our Valentine's Day ball there last.
Okay, all right,
February.
Yeah. So Windmill being the north boundary, practically speaking, St. Rose is the south because it's really not there. It goes further south. But
so you're in Hentucky.
Yeah. There's a little section of Seven Hills that's the way they redistricted. It used to be a lot more Republicans on the Henderson area.
South of 21. It borders 21.
So majority is what, R or D or?
It's a D+5.
That was a D+5.
Yeah. Which is.
And then you got a libertarian race.
I do.
Oh, you have to roll up your sleeves. You knocking on doors?
We're hitting 60 to 100 doors a day.
Okay. So why are you running in this race?
Well, I mentioned the one thing. I mean, I didn't want to just give it to the Democrats, and I didn't realize. I
did say that, didn't I?
Yeah, and I didn't realize that there was 4 other people who were going to jump in. I didn't know anybody was interested in running. If I would have, and if I would have thought they were credible, I probably never would have jumped in. I probably just would have supported whoever was running, but I didn't see anybody. And it turns out, I don't think that the people the other Republicans that jumped in were maybe as committed as they need to be, because this is a tough business. I mean, it's, old Joel Shammy, when he said this is hard work, he was right.
I ran for Assembly twice.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
13.
So you know.
Jim also ran.
So you know well. You know what it takes.
We know how hard running for office is. That's for sure.
So, but the other reason I considered it was the lockdowns and the mandates. I said, this is not America. We can't just allow. I don't have a problem with 15 days, maybe 30 days of a emergency situation to say, hey, we're going to do something because we don't know what's going on. But after a couple of weeks or a month, particularly in this particular case, most people kind of figured out this was a
problem between 15 and 30 days, but after a couple of weeks or a month, I'm confused.
Pretty much the same. Just characterizing in different ways.
So you had a problem with 15 or 30 days, or you didn't have a problem if it was 15?
I would, depending on the situation, in this particular, well, specifically COVID, let's just say specifically that situation, because it was new, nobody knew what was going on. Okay. I don't like.
So you're saying it's
that
okay,
situation,
15 or 30 days.
But if it's going to happen, I'll tolerate a couple of weeks or maybe a month at the most.
I was confused which way you were going with that.
Yeah. And so, but when it went to a year and then a year and a half and 2 years, I said, this is how can we allow our government just to come in and just say, hey, we're sorry, you guys.
Oh, they did come in. They say you don't have to pay rent while your mortgage company is still knocking on your door.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was all kinds of beneficiaries and victims in it, but as far as I was concerned, it was overreaching. And borderline illegal.
Okay. So as a elected state assemblyman, what would you do to make sure that doesn't happen in the future?
Introduce legislation to limit like I said, a maximum 30 days.
Would you take away the governor's power? Would that be a legislation?
I would turn it over to the legislature. Say the legislature has to
special
approve.
Election?
No, just approve. Just they would have to vote to approve an extension, and extensions need to be limited.
So that would be a special
maybe another
election.
30.
Not a special election.
Session.
A special session.
If they weren't in session, then they would have to come back and vote on it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what bills would you like to see passed or amended or removed?
Well, that would be one of my primary ones would be that limiting the executive power.
Limiting the executive power. And how does that look like to limit the executive power? What would that look like? Well, exactly what power would you reduce or eliminate?
Well, I would say that an executive order for emergency purposes would have to go back to the legislature for either a regular session or if they weren't in session, call them back and say.
Does that include the Senate as well? Or just the Assembly? That's a great question. I'm assuming it's both. I'm assuming it would be both. That one introduces it and the other one has to approve it. But whatever it would take, whatever the mechanism is within the legislature, I think that would have to happen. And then now they're all on the record. Every single elected official is on the record saying, okay, we're going to give, but then that legislation would also limit how much they could extend it to. So let's just say an additional 30 days. Mm-hmm. And then people would have a chance to see incrementally, does this make sense to continue these restrictions? Have you been to Carson City?
I have.
Okay. Yeah. Have you lobbied for any bills or anything like that?
No, I just went up there.
In fact, the governor's mansion?
I got some pictures at the governor's mansion. I went to the Capitol, to the State House and all that. I was actually at the Basque Fry.
Oh, okay.
And
over in
Gardnerville, yeah. And
I didn't see you. Were you hiding?
No, I don't think so. I was way in the back.
Okay.
Back over on the stage.
I came in there. I did a walk around and.
Oh, okay, so you walked around, got out. You didn't have the lamb.
Oh no, I didn't eat that. It was a buffet thing.
What do they call them? The lamb. Gosh, what do they call them?
Shank lamb or whatever it's called.
No. It's I'll remember it, but it's basically lamb testicles, and they. They're deep fried lamb testicles.
Yes, I remember.
I forget
now.
what they call them,
yes.
but
I went to Carson City.
Christy Nolan was talking about them. She said, "Hey, I had them, and then they told me what they were."
Yeah, I went to Carson City and had lunch. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't stick around there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was up there for that, and I said, "Hey, I'm already here. I might as well go
Right.
see where I'm going to be
Okay.
haunting the legislative halls."
So have you been knocking on doors? How are you getting your message across?
Knocking on doors primarily. We've got some billboards up. We're getting our yard signs out. We're going to have some street signs up here pretty soon. I've been calling into the base where we have gated communities and places where we can't get in.
You're raising money?
Raising some money, yeah. I've got my personal network as well as I've got some help getting to the donors, and they seem to be receptive.
Did I ask what you do for a living? Or are you retired? Did we get that far?
I'm still managing our businesses.
Okay.
And
what type of business is that?
The referral. Well,
the referral company.
Three businesses. Right. We have the referral.
Jim, I think I'm losing my mind today in this guest.
Well, gee, why, Steve? You got something coming up tomorrow that might be on your mind?
And we got through your bio, right, Mr. Bodine?
We did.
Yes.
You got it on.
Okay.
I don't want to say tape because we don't have tape anymore. But we got it on digital.
But we do. Well, we do have tape.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because we're going to go to YouTube as well.
Okay. All right. So there's three businesses. One's the referral agency. We're franchising the referral agency nationwide. We just opened up our first
for the maids.
For the maid service.
Yes.
LA maids. So we're franchising that concept nationwide, and I also own a call center.
That must be hectic.
It's pretty mellow. Yeah, it's pretty manageable.
Do you do for a call center for what exactly?
Well, it's customer service and sales. Okay. So it started with our own business. When my wife and I started our business, we have 4 daughters, and so we hired them. We hired their boyfriends, their girlfriends, their whole group kind of went through and came in and left. And while they don't
hire family,
Yeah. Well, it cuts both ways, but the main thing was they weren't going to be around. It wasn't a long-term thing. It was just kind of, they were in there so we had to find a long-term strategy for labor. And so I just decided to outsource it all. And rather than give it to somebody else, we decided to start our own call center. So we outsourced all of our customer service and sales.
So
a company that we own.
South Point is in your assembly district.
It's not. It's across the street. So in the northern half of the district, Las Vegas Boulevard is the boundary.
Okay.
They're on the other side of Las Vegas Boulevard.
Did you go to the owner of South Point to get a donation?
Not yet, but he's on the list.
Not yet?
Not yet. Well, I got a late start. in
TikTok. We're in what? September here.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're the donations are coming in. We've so far been able to fund. We've put some of our own money into the campaign, but we've probably more than matched that from outside donations. And the best is yet to come, as they say.
And I did ask you what bills you wanted to see passed, right?
Yeah, I mentioned the one, and that's why I wanted to have my phone here just so I don't forget. I'd like to have some legislation that would prohibit the school districts from introducing, which is already too late, they're already introducing it, but to prohibit them from implementing sexually explicit content curriculum into the elementary schools. Yes. I think that doesn't really serve a great purpose at that level. Sex education is important. What you can argue whether we want to have it.
High or junior high school, they should start introducing it.
Junior high. I mean, these days, you know how kids are. They're pretty sophisticated. They're seeing all kinds of stuff online. So junior high, I would be happy if it wasn't, necessarily a big thing in junior high. But I think just based on where we are in the society, I think junior high is appropriate.
Would you try to get voter ID back? Oh, well, it never came back.
It never came, right.
But would you try to?
I certainly would, yeah.
Try to get voter ID.
I think that's an insult to a lot of the communities that are described as, if you require them to have voter ID, that somehow that's going to keep them from voting. I think that's really an insulting idea.
And what about the ESAs, the educational savings account? Would you try to bring that back, because apparently it got lost with the ACLU?
Right. I think there's a
school
whole
choice, basically.
yeah,
what it is,
basically, yeah. There's a whole host of ideas that would allow more options. I think they should all be on the table. I don't see why they should be why they should be outlawed.
And what about campus carry? Because these are stuff that
campus carry by teachers.
Yeah,
I think it should be. I think it should be allowed. If obviously the teacher should, in that kind of environment, the teacher should have maybe a stricter level of training than just let's face it, our gun laws here are fairly loose compared to a lot of other states. Mm-hmm. So I would think they would require a higher degree of training and responsibility and certification and what have you to be able to do that on a campus. And I think that that would kind of control itself, because teachers by nature, I think they would kind of think through, is this a good thing for me in my classroom? I think we can trust teachers to know whether they needed to have that, and if they felt like they needed to, then why not let them have that for their own safety and the safety of their kids.
So what's your favorite constitutional amendment?
My favorite, I think,
because I'm taking you're a constitutionalist, right?
I am. I'm not a scholar on the Constitution, but I think the First Amendment really just opens up everything else. If we lose our ability, just like you guys are doing, you guys have this freedom to get on the airwaves or the cable waves and just basically say what you want, express yourself, do to your guests whatever can you get away with. That's the fundamental right, and you've seen that. You see that throughout history, where governments try to limit, even back into the 500 years ago, when the kings would try to limit what could be printed. Then that's where we start to lose your freedom. So I think the First Amendment is critical, from the foundation to everything else.
Well, okay, so you're walking. It sounds like you got a pretty good organization going as far as your campaign. What are what's like the top three? I try to stay away from 5 because 5 is a little tough. But what are the top 3 concerns that you're hearing as you're walking that district? Like, what are
voters?
Yeah, from voters. Yeah.
The economy, by far, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the abortion issue is out there. Immigration. I would say I'll go with those 3 right now, because those are the 3 that come to me. So since I'm talking to these folks all the time, that's probably the reason that they're coming to me, is that's what I'm hearing.
Immigration, would you try to reverse, since they reverse Roe versus Wade, right? Yeah. Would you try to reverse driver's license for illegal immigration in the state?
You know what? Once they're here already, it's probably not a bad idea to know who they are. Mm-hmm. I think, because now you're saying driver's license as opposed to ID. So those are 2 different things.
Yeah, because a driver's license, you can use that to go vote, right?
I don't know. I thought you couldn't demand an ID. See, it's kind of murky. It's like, well, over here you have to, but then over here you shouldn't have to. So, I think that I would like to look at just making it an ID as opposed to making it a driver's license, and making it obviously something that's not able to be used as ID for purposes of voting. I
got a very unusual question for you because of the recent current events with Jeff German and Robert Tellis, right, current public administrator. Right. Would you propose a law that if anyone was to go and execute a journalist of any kind, blogger alike, anybody that's trying to inform people of current events or what have you, and someone was to execute them, would you automatic death penalty?
No, I don't believe in automatic death penalty. I think you have to look at the entire situation.
But would that be on the table, though?
I think, well, for me, the death penalty should be on the table for any capital offense, any time a life is taken, in premeditation. The death penalty should always be on the table. Yeah.
Okay. You have anything else, Mr. Bodine?
Actually, I really don't. I'm fairly familiar with your assembly district just because I know the one immediately adjacent to it. And that's a
Is it next to 21?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
The northern part of 21 is next to the northern part of 41. And then 23 comes down below.
23, loose back around.
Yeah.
Mr. Bodine, is there anything else that you want to get out that hasn't been discussed yet?
Well, just the fact that I think this, I don't know if you know Vem Miller.
Yes.
No, we don't know him at all. We don't like that guy. Joke, man.
Vem, you're my buddy.
We're good.
I had breakfast with Vem today.
Yeah.
Oh, today? Okay,
Yes.
all right. So I guess you know
He's
him.
in
Then.
my assembly district.
He's a
13.
friend on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is.
Was that a test, Mr. Bodine?
No. It wasn't
Okay.
a test. Just a confirmation. So Vem said something a few months ago when we were in the primary, and he said, "This is code red," right? And I like that statement. This is not business as usual. This is not, just another election coming along. I believe, and I think a lot of people sense that we're just losing our grip on the country that you guys fought for. A lot of people you knew probably didn't make it back, and that's important. It's something worth fighting for. I would fight and die for it. I think a lot of people who never had a chance probably now realize the value of why just live and not have something that is, or why let something like what we have slip through our fingers? Okay, and I think we're sensing that it is. So I would just encourage. I am encouraged. A lot of the people in my district that I've talked to, they're like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm voting. You run across a few people, it's like, no, I don't want to vote. I would just encourage everybody
to complain the most.
Typically, yeah, after the fact. So I would just encourage everyone that understands the importance of what we're going through right now to do what they can to facilitate the people who believe like they believe. It may not be people who believe like I do, but the alternative is pretty scary to me. I mean, I have a Jordan. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
No, that name doesn't ring.
He's a Canadian.
Probably that's what. Hey.
But he has he was very. He's known for being very outspoken against certain things that are going on all over the world. And he made the comment that, hey, people say, well, Jordan, how can you be so brave and how can you take these stands? And he says, it's not that I'm so brave. I'm just terrified of the alternative. Right. And so,
that's a good point because it's just like us being involved in family court for all these years. And people say to me on a personal level, they say, hey, why are you involved in family court? You have no personal family court occurrence going on in family court. Why are you? And I say this is because it's not knocking on my door. Because right now I could be rational. I could be diplomatic. I could think outside the box. I could be calm. But I said, if it knocks on my door, and you try to take my kid away from me, I'm not going to be rational. I'm not going to be diplomatic. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be revengeful. And all that evil stuff is going to come out of me. So I'd rather take care of it now when it's not knocking on my door. Right. That way I could handle it in a more dignified way.
Right.
So I do understand what you're saying.
And effective. Be more effective.
Yes.
In what you believe in. So. Yeah, so that's what I would like to, communicate that message is, guys, there's a lot more we can do. Yeah, I'm guilty as anybody else. I sat back and just voted every 2 years and watched the news, complained to my TV, and
what'd your TV say back?
It said, just keep watching and buying the stuff that we're putting in front of you. Don't buy those pillows and everything.
Buy those pillows. All right, Mr. Bodine, this is what we're gonna do. Bodine, sorry. Paul Bodine.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. Mark is going to zoom in on you. Okay. And then you tell folks why they need to go to the voting booth and vote for you and your point of contact.
Okay. All right. My name is Paul Bodine. I'm running for Assembly District 41, and I want to make sure that people understand the situation that we're in right now, the type of government that we've been living with in this state for the last number of years, and what's going to happen if we don't get up and voice our opinion of the kind of state that we want to live in. We do not want another California. At least I don't. If you want another California here in Nevada, then you probably want to live somewhere else. But that's not what I stand for. We need to control our government, control the power that they have over us, and we need to let them know who they work for. They work for us. We work for you. If I'm elected, that's what I'll do. You can learn more about me at paulbodineforfreedom.info. That's Paul, Bodine, the number 4, the word freedom.info.
Well, Mr. Bodine, I'd like to thank you so much for being on the program. This has been fun.
Yeah, it has.
It's been fun.
It has really
Jim, thank you. Folks, that's Paul Bodine, candidate for Nevada's Assembly District number 41. To learn more about Mr. Bodine, go to his website. And if you have any family or friends that live in 41, you probably want to reach out and vote Paul Bodine. This is Steve Sampson, Jim Joseph, Veterans in Politics. Until next time.